that's really the thing with leadership is it's leading by example. It's saying how it's going to be done, how things are going to go.
You're pretty young. The company is taking off. What do you think really did it, dude?
Me and then also my team, the company, we lean so hard into customer satisfaction.
When you have a 1099 employee, can you tell them that they have to be at the office at 8 a.m. to have a sales meeting?
Technically, you can't.
Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and this is the Hook Better Leads podcast. And today I have Robin Scherer of Trust Roofing on. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on, Tim. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. We're talking about developing roofing team culture. I don't know if this has traditionally been something that people. It was not a hot topic maybe back in the day in roofing. I think roofing, because so you also have the crews and then salespeople kind of separated out there. Sometimes it's not that cohesive of
Yeah,
team stuff because we're kind of out of the office a lot of
yeah,
times, and so there's a little bit of disjointedness there. So that's one of the issues that the industry has.
yeah,
Can I get a little bit of background with you though, and Trust Roofing? Where are you guys at, and where have you come from?
yeah. So Trust Roofing, we're a company in the greater Tampa Bay area. So that's like where we service and everything. Um, we're a decent sized company. One thing that separates us is we're very, very processed out, like in-house process of everything. So from the sales reps, they're W-2'd. The crews, 90%, 95% of the labor is W-2'd.
Really?
Um, yeah, yeah, like huge W-2 labor force on residential and on commercial. Just down to
Incredible.
everything. My permitting person, my person in production coordination, just everything. I try to process it out in-house. That's one thing that separates ourselves. So we're a decent sized company, decent sized team in the Tampa Bay market. Um, we haven't always been that way in any way, shape, or form. I started roofing when I was 15 years old. That's what I come from. Physical on the roof, doing commercial installs, shingle installs. Did that for like 8 years. So I did that for a long time. Um, we moved over here to Florida and I started this company with my mom and dad. Over there, that was my dad's company in the LA area. So we started this company. It was 3.5 years ago now. Started it small ball, just me doing each roof, selling each job. Did that for a while. I set out to scale this company in May of 2022. So a little less than a year and a half ago. That's when I made the name Trust Roofing and decided to set out on scaling this and everything. So that's kind of where we come from. That's more or less where we are now.
Can you give the audience any indication of where revenue is, or where are people, or something, so they can get a
Yeah,
sense of
yeah,
scale?
yeah. So like I said, we have 75 W-2 employees. It's a big team. We should hit about 18 million in revenue this year.
Okay, awesome. So let's talk about some ways that we stoke culture. How do you stoke culture as a roofing company? Like I said, most companies don't have W-2 everything, right? Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of 1099 stuff. So
Yeah, absolutely.
do you think you could still stoke culture with 1099 culture company?
Um, it, I mean, I think it'd be more challenging. It'd definitely be more challenging. You can, and companies do it, of course. You know what I mean? I think it would be more challenging. I think when they're W-2, they work for you. That's who they work for, and that's kind of the way it is. And it's a little bit easier to stoke that culture, I'd say.
Because you're not, I mean, like, I don't want to belabor the point on the W-2 versus 1099 thing, but like when you have a 1099 employee, can you tell them that they have to be at the office at 8 a.m. to have a sales meeting?
Technically, you can't.
That's
A lot of
crazy.
companies break that rule, but yeah,
Yeah.
technically you can't, right? And can they drive like company grab vehicle? It's owned by the company. Technically, yeah, so there's some tough things there.
Yeah. And I'm not like saying, like, I don't know, there was like whatever, 70,000 IRS agents getting trained, and some of them were getting trained with guns. I don't know why. Did you see that recently?
Yeah, yeah, I
There's
did.
like a
I
guy
did.
that got shot, and he was like an IRS agent. I'm like, why are the IRS guys training with guns?
Yeah.
Jesus.
One thing I look at when I was scaling or deciding to scale this thing too is like just trying to think in the longest term ways possible. And I'm like, if I try to just 1099 everything, which I used to, I mean, that's kind of when we were really started this thing, it was a lot more of that
Yeah.
1099. But I looked at it and I was like, that's just not going to be a stable way to go. And the main problem you run into culturally, I find, is your crews, because that's the main place that a lot of companies 1099 everything out. But I have crews who've worked for me for, a year and a half since I very first started this. They've worked for me the entire time I've had Trust Roofing, and they've been wearing the shirts, they've been doing the thing, and they pull a Trust Roofing wrap trailer to the job sites. And like when there's that kind of consistency and that history, it's a little bit different when there's a slip up on the job and now you have an opportunity to kind of train that person or um, coach them or help work with them, etc. It's like you're not just some guy they've done 3 roofs for or they're here for. No, like you've worked with them for a year and a half. So put, in a year and a half of that constant, like, no, this is how we want to do things. This is the trust roofing way. This is how we want to do that. We don't want that to look like that in the driveway. Over and over again, repetition kind of gets it there. It's hard to do that if you've just had a crew for like a few weeks to build that stable thing that you want.
Well, on that front, I would say I look up to you and I want to be like you. I mean, like if I was a roofing company owner, because I mean, 18 million with 1099 versus 18 million with W2. It's like a different game. Like that's like
Yeah,
you guys are big then. That's like a different amount of, and 18 million is big no matter what. But
sure. Yeah,
so let's talk
controlling that
about,
process
yeah.
for sure is a whole new challenge. For me, I come from the labor though. That's what I love. I love roofing. And I mean, I don't know. That's just what I love. I love that process, dealing with the homeowner, doing the job, prepping it, cleaning it, boom. So that's where I come from. Maybe that is why I end up with W2 crews. That's the part I really want to control and work with my teams, my guys, my foremans. Um,
I love, dude. I don't want to even speak on it negatively because I like these companies that have outside crews, but I will say I couldn't. I think I would. I get why I would cringe if like I couldn't control every aspect of the quality.
yeah.
Do you know? Like at least having some. I don't know. I think I would need. I would want to have some crews like that were in house in a way to like know how everything was done and perfectly, and then like maybe scale it out to some outside crews. I don't know. That would be
And it
like at
just
least
it gives
that
you
would be
it
the way
gives
I
you
would do it.
so much control. I mean, if a client calls me right now and they've got X problem, whatever happened, maybe there's a warranty callback, maybe whatever it is. Maybe I have a job where I need to throw extra manpower at it. It has to be done by this day or else, right? Something like this. When you have a labor force, a huge W2 labor force of roofers, you say, okay, your crew, you're going to go work with them. You're both going to do it. Or, hey, there's this callback. You need to go and take care of it. I mean, I've heard of stories of other roofing companies in the area. There's like a callback and it's like 3 weeks in and the company's still not getting out there. And I hear that and I'm like, I kind of think, okay, one of the reasons that happens, you don't have enough controlled labor force in house. Because if I have a callback or a problem, I just move it up in the priority and I get a technician out right away. I mean, I have on top of the crews, I have right now we have 4 repair technicians. So that's all they do all day long is they do maintenance, they do callbacks, they do all that kind of stuff.
Powerful, powerful, and no matter what, I think people should have those guys at least, or one of
At
those guys,
least the
right?
maintenance guys, I
Yeah,
would definitely always try to get in
yeah.
house for
Because
sure.
I mean, you think nothing's going to go wrong with your installs for the rest of there's
Yeah.
always something.
And what companies do is they have a really good project manager, right? If you have a really good project manager and you have a 1099 crew, you can still control it to that degree. So
Yeah.
that is, one thing to be said.
Now, are you just a fancy Californian bringing your California culture over to Florida? Because I will say, like, I have a few roofer friends in California that, like, they really do not believe, like, the 1099 thing, they, like, will, like, kind of make fun of it. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of
Yeah.
required over in California, right?
Yeah.
But, like, then, like, it's you guys, and, like, I just know of, like, Eustis is like that. Eustis
Yep.
Roofing has all in-house labor
Yeah.
and W2 salespeople. So,
Yeah, they were an
like,
inspiration. I mean, I watched videos of their company before I scaled this one. I saw the way, they did. I was like, that's the way I would like to do it.
mhm.
Um,
If you truly believe in what you're doing and you want to be the best version of yourself and you want to build a great organization, there's no other place to do that besides the Roofing Academy.
You bring up a good point in California, though, because, yeah, like over there, you have to pretty much do it that way. So that's how my dad did it. He had one crew for the longest time, this guy Orlando, who still works for him to this day. He's worked for him for like, I don't know, 8 years. But anyway, he had that crew, and then I kind of started a second crew for him, and then I ended up foremanning a second crew. And that's what I did. I was a commercial foreman, and I put together my team. I had 4 or 5 guys, and that's kind of how I was used to operating it. So when I came over here, I never thought of subcontracting. Like it didn't even occur to me when I very first started. I just started here. I grabbed some labor force. I grabbed my nephew, whatever, and we put together a team. We started doing roofs.
I love it. Okay, so let's talk about some of these other things to stoke culture.
Yeah,
I know you mentioned name, your policies, and basically your value systems.
sure.
So
Yeah,
talk to me
so
about how those things affect it.
yeah, with us, like when I started this and everything, I tried to do everything based off of the name. So I Trust Roofing. I decided, okay, good, I'm going to try to build everything off of that name. Just because our name is Trust Roofing doesn't mean we're perfect by any means. Doesn't mean there's like nothing that ever goes wrong, right? But what it means is it means that that's our goal. Our goal is to be a trustworthy company who you can give a contract to, and you're not worried about the labor we're choosing, the materials we're using, and the overall process. So, we're not perfect, but that's what we're aiming for, right? So that's kind of the starting point is the name and the brand, and like boom. And if anything goes wrong, it's like, okay, we're Trust Roofing. We don't do it that way. Just as an overall point. Um, but yeah, that is something that I do every time I'm going to like onboard a new position or whatever. I'm writing up policies. I'm writing up, okay, good. This is how Trust Roofing does that. This is how a salesperson does that.
And when you're saying policies, we're talking about like standard operating procedures, just
Yeah,
another way that people say this, or what else do people call
yeah.
this? Like
SOP, standard operating
procedures,
procedures.
policies, that type of thing.
Yeah, just putting it in writing, like this is what your role is, right? So, and that's something that I started to do a lot more of recently, and I find it super helpful because you can get everybody on the same page. Like I was having over and over again issues with my project manager over and over again, and I was just kind of hitting my head against the wall, and I kept telling him the same thing verbally over and over again. And I realized that it's more powerful if you put that in writing. It just is so much more powerful. So I just sat down, took a minute, put together in writing just what are the responsibilities of a project manager, really listed them out, gave them tips and advice that I've learned over the years. They're simple things, and just put it out there. And then now whenever there's something that goes wrong, I can now just point to that and say, hey, that's what went wrong. It's right there in writing. That's what we need to work on. And it makes it a little bit more real rather than just, oh, I say it's that way. No, that's how it
Mm.
is.
So you talk about filtering for value systems and like a team player mindset. How do you do that in interviews? I mean,
Yeah, it's challenging for
it's
sure.
hard because people lie. People lie in interviews.
Yeah, it's true. It's honestly less about what's said and more of a, I don't know, it sounds kind of silly, but a feeling thing. Sometimes you get a feeling. I'm still wrong plenty of times, right? I end up and I'm like, okay, I don't know if I was totally right here, right? And whatever. But one thing on that is one thing I found success with is within my team, existing team. If I find someone who really fits in with the culture and is just awesome, they'll have a friend, right? Like one of my first sales reps here, his fiance was in the mortgage industry, and the mortgage industry wasn't as good, right? Because the interest rates and all this, and she was looking for something new. So I interviewed her, and now, fast forward a year later, she's been with us. She's our top sales rep. I mean, she's an absolute maniac. She's like selling $600,000 commercial jobs. Like, I just signed this condo, and I'm like, great. So, you know what I mean? Like, she
Yeah.
it just embodies the culture, though, right? So that's an example. She came from someone else. That's most of my hires.
Ooh, I
I had
love
an
that.
exist, yeah, I had an existing hire, and then it's within their friend group or whatever. Someone who I know personally, like whatever. That's most of my hires. Very rarely is it like I'm on Indeed posting sometimes that for the roofers. Even the roofers, though, it's usually one of the roofers knows a guy. Okay, great. Like if tomorrow I need more repair techs, the first thing I would do, go into my production WhatsApp channel and just ask all the roofers, hey, I need a new repair tech. Does anybody know anyone who's looking? Um, and filter it out that
I
way.
love it that you have a production WhatsApp
Oh yeah,
channel. Like it's
all the
crazy.
crew
It's just
foremans
like
are in
how
there
much
and
more
everything.
power you have as the owner who controls the labor.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's awesome because literally I on my phone, I mean, obviously I'm not on my phone right now, but at any time I can open that up and go through and I'll see like what's going on throughout the day. Like, okay, this guy
Yep.
needed this happened here, like whatever. So we have channels like that where you can keep an eye on everything. But that way the crews actually feel like they're a part of the team. It's not just the sales guys and the owner and the billing staff or whatever.
Yeah.
It's, you know,
When I had the guy from Eustis on, what's that dude's name?
Jason.
Jason. You from Eustis, he was saying like then they come together like when they're breaking bread, when you get company party
Yeah.
and the labor guy is talking to the salesperson and they're saying when you have to face them at the company parties and get-togethers, maybe you're not going to sell the same thing. Maybe you're going to be a
Right.
little bit more accurate, or you know what I mean? Like
Right.
basically, like
Right. Right.
be
Right.
you
Right. It's
basically
a
like
good point. Yeah.
yeah. I thought
Yeah,
that
it's a
was
good
really good.
point. Yeah, no, because the sales reps know who it is who's going on the roof. It actually gives the sales rep the ability, like my sales reps, when they're pitching in the house, they will pitch like a specific crew. They'll say, our crew Armando, he is the absolute best for this kind of thing. For
Oh,
this
wow.
reason, and this reason. Okay, he knows this type. Like we'll pitch for a specific crew because we know their strengths and weaknesses.
Wow. That is actually incredible. I bet you that the crews love that.
Oh yeah, and they can flip to the photo and actually show, hey, this is this guy. And I've even had it where they'll like tag the foreman in the sales call and they get him on FaceTime, and the foreman will talk to the homeowner for a second. How powerful is that, right? Like you're actually
Yeah.
talking to the foreman you're going to get and going over that with them rather than just always just talking to the sales guy, not really knowing what's on that other end.
I love that. And I asked you this beforehand, and I feel a little rude asking it, but how do you get the respect of people older than you that are working for you?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I mean I'll answer it the same way. It really boils down to like age isn't going to be like the only contributing factor there. It is one for sure, right? But more of it is just leading by example. If you say that, hey, we like to do things this way, right? We like to sell this way, or we like to roof this way, or this is how much we care about our customers, then exemplifying that and doing that and trying to be the leader for that with the team. And when there's a ball drop, being willing to get in there and help with it, being willing to get in there and lead on it, and etc.
Hey, thanks for watching this episode. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps other people see this content. We're back every Tuesday and Friday with the podcast, and we've got a ton of other videos. Thanks, guys.
That's really the thing with leadership is it's leading by example. It's saying how it's going to be done, how things are going to go, and then coming through and doing that. And it's a constant struggle. It's a constant challenge. I'm far from perfect at it, but um, if you do that correctly, it doesn't matter how old or young you are, you can, hold that together.
Okay, just side note here, man. You're pretty young. The company is taken off. What do you think really did it, dude? What do you think? You know what I mean? Like, why is there's a lot of guys stuck at like 3 or 5 or something like that. Like, why do you think yours just,
It's a Yeah, it's a good question, and I've thought about it a lot. And this is my honest answer. Me and then also my team, the company, we lean so hard into customer satisfaction and into taking care of the customer and just blowing them away. We lean so hard into it. It's unbelievable. That's what we lean into, like nothing else. Like that's it. That's where we're at. That's where our head is at, in terms of our standard operating procedures, in terms of the name, in terms of everything we're trying to do. And again, are we always perfect? Not even close. But when we're not, we try our best to make it right, and we just try to be good to our customers, good to our employees. I mean, that's the number one thing though, is just leaning into that customer satisfaction.
why?
Why would you say it's the most important thing?
Yeah.
Because you get a snowball effect. If I take care of somebody, and I mean I really take care of them, and then their aunts, mothers, cousin, whoever says, hey, who'd you use on your roof? They're going to say Trust Roofing. They do a good job. Or in that Facebook group, call Trust Roofing, right? You're going to get referrals. You're going to get that snowball effect. And that's the number one thing, right? Because I can't, like, in order to get to this size, I need $18 million worth of roofing customers. Am I going to pay for $18 million worth of roofing companies? Or customers? I could try, but that would be expensive. That would mean that I'm rolling my profits into that instead of rolling my profits into, say, vehicles for my reps or for my crews, or, whatever tools we need, equipment we need, or other things we need, right? Instead, if I'm able to still I spend a good amount on marketing. Like I spend a bunch on marketing, right? But if you have that snowball effect going as well, that's the key.
Hmm. What else?
I mean, I work hard. And tons of people on the team put in like tons and tons of incredible hours and very hardworking. I mean, we're a little interesting. Like a lot of the key players who are on the team right now were on my original roofing crew when I started here. Like I drove
Hmm.
people out from California, and we were up putting roofs on together. 3 years ago, we started this putting roofs on together, and then now some of those people are in sales or in executive positions, etc. So that's a little bit of a different background story for most roofing companies. And we really look back to that and we go, back then we were just trying to take care of clients doing one roof at a time. And now we're just doing that on a scale. And, like four of us still from that same time.
Ah, that's a beautiful story. How can we make the people on our team, speaking of culture, feel part of something bigger than themselves?
Yeah, that's a good question. And we were talking about that. People want that, right? That's something that people really want. You
Hmm.
look at their sports teams, you look at colleges, right? You look at their countries, religions, you look at all
Mobs,
that. What did you say?
mobs, or
Mom, sure.
like you're going through a city, you're taking over buildings. I don't know.
Sure.
Have you heard the story? I once walked through a mob in Minneapolis. It was
Really?
in 2020, and there was an actual like mob happening, and I walked through it one time, and I was like, I didn't know. My buddy was in town, and he was like, I want to go downtown Minneapolis, and I was like, not a good idea.
They were protesting something?
Yeah, yeah, but it wasn't a protest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This
It
was
was
like
just
it was
like,
around that time, but this one didn't have a lot of like high like ethical kind of standard. It wasn't
got it,
that kind of vibe. It was
got it.
like actually like they were breaking windows and shit
Breaking
was
stuff.
like
Wow.
they're trying to get into a bank. So it was a very interesting time. Is
Well,
all I'm gonna say.
that's the negative version of it, right? And there's that too. There's people who
Well,
want to be a
people
part of
want to
something
be part
bigger.
of something, and
They want to be a part of something. Yeah.
even if let's just say I could feel the vibe of that crowd, and it was good. Here's the deal: people want to be part of of a group of people all going in the same direction, and
Yes,
negative ways and positive ways. And it feels so good at a sports
it
team.
does. Yeah.
You know what I look at it like the Eagles. Sorry, this little tangent. Eagles fans, because we played the Eagles one time and they whooped our butt during the champion what is it, NFC Championship, and their people were like greasing. They have to grease the poles in Philadelphia because they will like. Otherwise, people will just climb all the poles, and there's like people like doing crazy stuff in the streets, and they're all ecstatic
Yeah.
with this mob mentality and this
Yeah.
group think
Yep.
that we all want.
Yeah.
We all want to be part of this big group, whether it's in a positive way or a negative way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's something that people want no matter what. So how do you create that? How do you put that there?
Yeah.
Getting them in the same direction, on the same page, moving forward toward a common purpose. And that's your role. I mean, that's my role or anyone's role as a leader, right? Is keeping it that way. And as soon as something enters in or sets in that's contra to that, against that, right? Like, somebody's like, oh, screw that customer, blah, blah, blah. It's like, whoa, dude, that's not how we roll here. Like,
Or
what did
people
we,
just get toxic, right? People like
yeah,
sometimes employees
exactly.
get toxic. How do you, yeah, like it's just
It's
trying to
it's
figure out.
challenging.
Yeah.
It's challenging. You have to stop it in its tracks as soon as you see it and be like, hey, no, that's not how we roll here. Let's look inwards. Let's look at like, what did we do wrong? What could we have improved? And that's kind of like what we try to do. If there's a
Mm,
problem with a customer and problem with an employee, there's an upset. I try to look, what could we have done better, right?
yeah.
And then that opens the door to solutions.
Um, so the culture of roofing as a whole, the industry, how have you seen that change over the last, you said you've been in it for 10 years?
Yeah, I've been doing roofing since I was 15. I think I started like paying attention to that more on a broad scope, maybe 4 years ago.
Okay.
When I started looking at starting and having my own company, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
How have I seen it change?
What do you think this new fresh generation, because you're kind of fresh
Yeah,
generation, right? And there's old hats, there's old guys that are kind of
right.
satisfied because they already got their yacht, Robin.
Yeah, they are right. I hear what you're saying. Um, there's how I've seen it change so far, but then there's even, I think a better question is how do I see it changing moving forward? Because right
Yes.
now I don't feel like it's changed all that much, but there are some things that are entering in, some ideas and some ways of going about things, which one of the main things is just, okay, good, looking at roofing as really a business and how can you control that process from start to finish? And I see just tons and tons of information and ideas about that, ways that some people are shaking things up and changing things. Like, some people do like an inside outside sales model, right? And that's something that's really big right now. We don't
Mm-hmm.
particularly do that, but I see a lot of value in that. I see why that's there because I see value in uh, segregating each position out and going, okay, good, that position focuses on that, that position focuses on that. Like I see a lot of value in that because you become good at what you're good at. I see a lot of that going on. Something that I see coming forward is a lot of online sales. Like I see that becoming the direction at some point in the
Mm-hmm.
future. Still not there right now, but that ease of entry where I can go online right now and I can buy a car, right, on CarMax or one of these online sites. And I go, okay, good. Found out all the info. And I'm willing to click buy and put my credit card in. Why am I willing to do that? Because I know as the consumer that it's an assured experience. I know that when I get that car, it's got this warranty. I know how this company rolls. There's nothing to be scared about them. I know what's going to happen. That's why contracting, we have to go, 5 of us, sit in front of a homeowner, spend 30 minutes with them. They have to deal with that. I mean, you think the homeowners want to deal with 5 roofing companies telling their company story and doing the whole thing for 40 minutes? They don't like it, right? Maybe very few of them
one
do.
company story, to be honest with you.
Exactly. And that's something that we don't really do. Like my sales reps, when they do an approach, they're trying to do their approach based off the homeowner. What do you need and want?
Yeah.
Okay, how does Trust Roofing fit in to help you out, right? Rather than this whole huge pitch. But anyway, I digress there, but that's a thing that's been the way the industry has been. I see moving forward, eventually, companies that can figure out how to just make themselves just certainty that that company is going to deliver that process every time. I know it if I'm a homeowner, right? Companies are able to do that, present it in such a way online, and then also through word of mouth and referrals and just being out there. You will be able to get it to where clients are literally on an online portal and they're just clicking boom, boom. The measurement comes up like something like Roofle or Roofer sets up, right? Something like that. Okay, good. My shingle roof is $16,000. Okay, good. Click and buy and put the deposit down with a disclaimer that, okay, good. Now a roofing inspector professional is going to come and take a look at everything, make sure there's no, extra damaged wood or extra this or extra that. Make sure that we have that price set. But they kind of put the deposit and they start the process online. I see that becoming the case relatively soon moving forward. I definitely see it can become the case because, again, homeowners want convenience. They want ease. But what they want is they want certainty that at the end of the day, at the end of the conveyor belt, they get that certain product.
Yeah, and that's
the problem
on the bigger side, on the bigger, like other industries like cars, it's because of the size of the brand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it kind of, that creates certainty and trust in people's minds, the size. Because Ford would have consequences on a national level if they just didn't deliver your truck. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which they didn't the last couple of years for a second there, right? With the supply chain. But you know what I'm saying? It takes a second, but it's for sure going to happen. And in roofing, that hasn't been the case. That hasn't been the case. BBB has so many complaints against roofers because of the lack of accountability. So that's why I think it's a cultural reputation. It's an industry reputation thing that we're going to have to figure out how to get past. Because I don't like it that roofing doesn't have a great reputation overall.
And the way to get past it is by controlling the process and doing all those things. The problem that companies like mine run into also, though, is that controlling that process, it just costs a certain amount. No matter what you do, it's going to cost some money to control that process, like training and this and that, and W-2ing them, actually paying all the insurances. Okay, these things cost money. And when you have people who aren't doing them and they're bidding here and they're promoting that they're that's tough, right? That's tough to compete with sometimes. I mean, we figure it out and we do it, but that's the challenge, right? Is really educating and getting it out there that this is the right way to go about things. This is the way that, the homeowners are going to have the roof good for the longest and they're going to have insurance. They're going to know, et cetera. I mean.
So it's like an education problem, really. It's trying to educate the customer at scale in a way that actually they can remember is sticky and quick so that because they don't want to think about their roof for more than they have to. So as quickly as they possibly can get educated, right?
Yeah. But really, I mean, you look at really successful companies across the board, that is what they do. They create at least as certain as they can, customer experience. You look at an Amazon, why are they so successful? If I order something, it's coming within the 48 hours or whatever they say if I'm Prime. And if it's wrong or I don't like it, they'll return it for free. Costco's the same way with their return policies, right? So you look at companies at scale, obviously they're very different, but it's a certain product at the end of the day. CarMax is an example like that does it as well. So that's really the thing, is creating.
And you can to a certain degree create that.
Yeah,
which is just you fix your faults. Even if it's expensive.
I'll tell you, this is what we do at Trust Roofing. This is the way that we go about that problem right now. Under 20,000, there's no payment until completion at all. It's a satisfaction guarantee, 100%. So that's how I kind of lean into it and go, hey, you can go with that guy at 18 grand who wants 9K down, but what if he goes out of business next week? You know what I mean? Some of these smaller companies, obviously not a big company. There's a lot of small companies out there and they have 5 reviews on Google and they're bidding roofs and they've been around for I don't know, a year or two or whatever. It's like I've seen a lot where customers, they sign a deposit, they go into a contract with someone, and then they're out of business before they can do the work.
Well, I think it's great that you're educating customers on these things. Where can somebody go to check out your company?
Our website, trustroofing.com. You can go on Facebook. We post a lot of content where we're talking about a roof we're doing that day, or uh, a picture of a team member or whatever. So like us on Facebook. We have a YouTube channel. We're trying to get into where we post on that steadily. We have some content on there.
Awesome. And will I see you at any of the roofing conferences this fall, winter?
I'm gonna go to the Roofing Process Conference for sure. That's the only one I know I'm gonna go to for sure.
Well, that's a good one. And then also at RoofCon too, there if you want to get your logo tattooed on you, you can do it for free at Hook's booth.
You guys are gonna do that for free?
Yeah.
Wow. You're
It's
gonna
a
hire like a
wild
pro
move.
tattoo guy. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I know you did it. Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, basically, like if a lot
Oh,
of
I'd be down. I'd be down someday for sure. I remember creating that logo the day before. I remember creating that logo at my house at a computer, sitting there creating it. Before we started, I remember. So
All right. So appreciate you being on today. The podcast is put on by hookagency.com, Hook Agency all over social. And Robin is a client. So Robin, what's your experience with Hook Agency like?
well, you guys are awesome. Each team member I've dealt with has been awesome. Skylar's awesome in pay-per-click. Dylan is awesome in his SEO and everything. And everybody, the onboarding team, everybody else who I've interacted with has been great, been very helpful. And most importantly, they've gotten good results. It's most important.
I've very much gone the in-house route. I know it's easy, like as agencies, to outsource everything. So
Yeah.
we want to control the process, and I really like when stuff goes right. And so creating the process on the back end, we really focused on making sure that we control the process and that each element of that is good. So I really appreciate you sharing that, and we're grateful for having you as a customer. So thanks for sharing that.
Okay. Hey, thanks so much for the time, Tim. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Everyone, have a good one. Bye-bye.
Okay, sounds good.